Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Baltimore WordPress Meetup. Today is February 11th, and we are having an Ask Me Anything. There will be periodic links shared during this meetup. The links that are shared in the chat during the meetup will be at the end of the video recording. So if you catch it on YouTube later, look at the very end for any of the links that have been shared in the chat. This meetup is informational. Please use the information, products, and services that we show at your own risk. Just because we are showing something such as a plugin, theme, website, service, or anything else is not an official WordPress endorsement of that item. And above all, keep it family friendly, as many of us are attending from home with various different family members in the background. We will be doing our best to follow the WordPress community guidelines and standards. That means that if you break these rules, you will be evicted from the meeting. No spamming or spammer-like behavior. We have people of all different skill levels and backgrounds, so no judgment when someone is at a different level than where we are at. And generally speaking, don't be a jerk. We have a couple of sponsors to thank. The first sponsor is Enfira. They help companies serious about their WordPress development needs. They specialize in helping agencies and businesses that have been frustrated by WordPress. For more information about them, visit enfira.com/help. Second sponsor is Easy Alley Guide. Easy Alley Guide works to make accessibility easier to understand through done-for-you tools and processes, and now courses and tutorials. OB Digital Consulting. OB sponsors our video recordings and prepares them for YouTube. They handle video production for various different companies, so contact them for your video production needs. We'll be using the Zoom chat for quick questions and to queue people up. So please go find your Zoom chat. Everyone starts muted, and then we unmute for when people are asking a specific question. Of course, no one knows everything, but we will do our best to try and answer questions. And I may randomly mute myself to cough because with the weather changing and everything, I sometimes get a little bit of a frog in my throat. All right, a few people pre-submitted some questions. If any of these people are here, just type the word "here" in the chat. Ben, Carl, Erica, Anna, Bill, Mar, and Bob. Mar is here. All right, then you win. You get to go first. Mar had pre-submitted the question, do you have a recommendation for assessing web traffic for your site that does not use Google Analytics? Sure. We can name a couple of different services that are more privacy focused, if that's what you're looking for. If you want to go ahead and unmute, you can.
Good morning, and
Hello.
thank you.
Not a problem. So are you looking for something that's more privacy focused and doesn't, necessarily broadcast to all these different services, or are you just looking for an alternative?
Both, because we're concerned about what the Google Analytics requires sometimes. So
Okay.
I want to be prepared should the discussion come up.
Yes. So there's a couple of popular ones. The first one is going to be Fathom Analytics. If I remember correctly, these folks are out of Canada. And so what they do is they have basically a third-party cookie-free solution. So that's going to be one option. There's also Plausible. They are similar and they are out of Europe. So they are full GDPR compliance and everything. So those are a couple of options that are paid. They are basically lightweight, no cookies, very private. There's also a couple of WordPress plugins, if I can spell it, which I can't. Independent Analytics. One of those days when you can't spell and you have to have the computer type it for you. So Independent Analytics is a popular one. They have a free version. It's in the WordPress repository. And then they also have a pro version, which has more features. The free version is enough for a lot of companies that don't have a huge amount of traffic to their website. This does store everything locally in your database. So it keeps it all within your own site. So those are a couple options that aren't going to go through these big megacorps and are going to help protect your privacy. And hopefully that answers your question. All right.
Yes,
Looks like
thank you so much. That's a good start, and I like the last one.
excellent. All right, so that was it for the pre-submitted questions. So now we get into the open questions. So if you have a question, you just drop a question mark into the chat, or you can use the hand raise feature in Zoom if you like that. Generally, I don't bring up much of the pre-submitted questions because usually they are either too general or too specific or need more information to really get context. So, for example, one person had submitted how to use Elementor. That is a very, very general question. Probably the shortest answer is to go to YouTube and look for Elementor tutorials. Someone else had asked, they publish on WordPress 3 times a week, and 2 of them usually go out, and the third one usually does not. Almost always that is going to be a cron issue. And there's a cute little plugin called WP Control that will help you diagnose what is going on with your cron. It may be related also to your hosting company. It may be related to other things, but this WP Control plugin can help you diagnose and see what's going on. It's kind of the first step in diagnosing the problem. Michael is asking a question. What is the best way to do a quick website accessibility analysis? Michael, would you like to unmute?
Hi, Jen.
So, in terms of a quick accessibility analysis, are you looking for just kind of a high-level overview, or are you looking to get into the details of what is causing the issue?
It's more of a high-level overview. I'm not sure why, but a number of site owners seem to be concerned with accessibility lawsuits. They've seen in the news where business owners get sued basically under ADA violations where their site is not accessible for various reasons, and they're more looking as a for legal compliance almost.
Yeah.
They've
So
thought about the overlays, thinking that can do it, and I know enough to where it's like, well, I've heard those are really bad.
they are. So, as a really quick summary, I
Okay.
will grab the YouTube link for the meetups. So we have playlists and the Baltimore playlist. So this is the meetup that we did in January, and it's basically all about your accessibility questions. And so one of the shortest answers I can give you is to start with a lightning audit. So this is a very short audit that you can pretty much do yourself. And it's basically going to go through a few different tests and give you kind of the good, bad, ugly kind of thing.
Right. Also, this is more of just a general knowledge question, but why are the overlays bad? Like, why are the AccessiBe or UserWays? Because I see them all over the place, but why are they bad?
Okay, so the first answer of why they're bad is that there are some things that automated testing is really good at doing, and there are some things that it's really terrible at doing. And the things that it's really terrible at doing, it can't fix, it can't detect, and it can't know if it broke it or not. So what happens is a lot of these things are things like keyboard functionality, which automated testing can do pretty much none of. So it can break keyboard functionality. It can't tell you if the keyboard functionality works. And so basically what happens is, let's see, there should be an article about AccessiBe on here. So over in Europe, the European Disability Forum specifically says that overlays or any tools do not meet the standard and are not an appropriate solution. So Europe flat out said, No. In the United States, the Federal Trade Commission fined AccessiBe for false claims in their advertising and that they don't actually make websites WCAG compliant. So what happens is all of these lawyers know that these tools don't actually make the website fixed. They don't actually fix the problem. And since they don't fix the problem, they know that if you have this tool installed in your website, you are actually a much better target for a lawsuit than if you didn't have anything installed. So what's happening is that the lawsuits, there's actually significantly more lawsuits proportionally against people using a third-party widget. So typically, depending on the month, it varies a little, but between 20 and 30% of the lawsuits are against websites using one of these widgets. Only about 1% or so of websites are using a widget. So if 1% of websites use a widget and 20 to 30% of the websites that get sued use a widget, this really, really increases the odds of a lawsuit. There's also been studies and there's user information about how these things don't actually fix the problems. And in some cases, actually make the problems worse because, like I said, automation is good at some things, but it's bad at other things. And the things that it's bad at can actually really create a negative experience. There was a lawsuit in 2023 for iBobs, and that was an eyewear company. So they basically sell glasses. Their entire market needs vision correction, basically. And they had used the AccessiBe widget. And because of the widget, that actually caused their mobile website to be completely unusable with a screen reader. So it wasn't just that it didn't fix the problem, it actually created the problem in the first place. So that's really why you shouldn't be using the widgets, is because you'll make it worse, you won't know why, and you'll basically wave a red flag in front of lawyers.
It's interesting the part about what the sites with tools or the widgets are more commonly preyed on by
Mhm.
for lawsuits than not. But yeah, it makes
Because,
sense.
yeah, because the lawyers know you're aware of accessibility and you tried to do the cheap patch job. Like, we had a foundation crack. We tried to just plaster over it and pretend that doesn't exist. That didn't work. Didn't actually fix the foundation. All right. Does
So
anyone
much,
else?
Jen.
You're welcome. And also, you should probably grab that YouTube link and bookmark it to watch later, because I think you'll find that very helpful. If anyone else has a question, you can either type it in the chat or just drop a question mark into the chat if you'd prefer to speak your question. All right, it looks like that is it for today. So outside of Meetup time slots, you can find WordPress help at a couple of locations. One is we have resources on the...
Jen, can I ask one more question if that's okay?
Sure, go ahead.
When to use ARIA labels on the site and when it's unnecessary? Because I've heard that using ARIA but doing it incorrectly is bad. It's worse than doing nothing, but there are times when you need to use ARIA in your markup. Is there a overview of where it's important and where it's not as important?
Yes. So the basic short answer is that if you're not sure what you're doing, don't use ARIA. You'll probably make it worse. The answer regarding labels specifically is every element should have exactly one label. So for example, down here we have this label here. So we have this email required, and that is the visible label. That is also the label in the markup. It literally has the label tag on it. So in this case, we don't want to add any ARIA because the label is already there. We want each element to have one and exactly one label. So anything that is interactive, such as an input field or a button, that should have exactly one label. So for example, the submit form button. Okay, that's got a label. It's right there. It's visible. We don't need to do any kind of ARIA with it. The biggest item is frequently the overuse of ARIA. Let me quick pull up my form presentation. Forms. I've got a few examples. Here we are. So you can access this one by going to agencies and then learn. And on this page, there's a whole bunch of different things. So included in them is the forms, the accessible forms. So here you can see what some plugins have done, for example, is they've added this label for, and then they added an ARIA label to it, and that's incorrect. Other ones, and then they also added a placeholder, also incorrect. They also added an ARIA labeled by, also incorrect, because and each field should have exactly one label. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. So all of those bolded needed to get deleted, and the end result was just this.
Perfect. Is there a resource like a learning or training for using ARIA, like or accessibility in markup that you'd recommend? Is it the A11guide.com? Is that
Yes,
one or?
there's some various different things on ARIA here. Sorry, I'm using multiple input devices, which sometimes confuses the computer. So if you just do a search on ARIA, you'll see that it's got the different ARIA rules broken out and information about them. All right, if no one else has any questions, then we will finish up. Thank you, Jean, for saying that. Jean says, thanks for holding these meetups, Jen. I always learn something, even if it's how to make an ice house. Well, we try to be educational. Our next meetup will be in March, and that will be with special guest Kathy Zant, and she'll be talking about security with AI. You've probably seen at least 100 articles coming up about AI browsers, AI agents, people who've suddenly gotten hacked because of AI, and all sorts of different things like that. So she's going to talk about some different stories and give you a few examples of what's gone wrong, what could go wrong, and also give you some practical advice on what you could do to make sure it doesn't go wrong. So make sure to RSVP for that meetup.